Hello, my name is Carlo, and this project demonstrates an automated sorting system that detects and categorizes items based on their color. For this, we're using Siemens NX and TAA Portal. If we have a look at the model, we're going to notice there is a conveyor belt and several sensors like the proximity sensor and a few workpieces sensor to detect the colors like red and silver. Next, we have a stopper that will stop the object coming in for color detection. Once the color is being detected and it's being chosen where the object should be going, if either in slide 1 or slide 2 to complete the orders pre-selected by the user interface, the cylinders will move and accordingly and drop the objects into the slides. I apologize for my voice, but I'm not feeling very well. Uh, Once the objects go in, there is a counter that will just count up, and at the end here there is an object sync sensor highlighted in green, which will help free the slides and reset the counters. On the back here, we also have two sensors for each cylinder. They will say if they're either open or closed, and one main slide sensor that will detect when the slides are full. If we want to have a look at TAA Portal, this is our main interface for the ladder logic. What we have done here, we have inserted our block for our code, which is written in SCL. Before going to there, we want to have a look at the PSC tags used for this project. Some of them are inputs, which are the signals coming in from an X. Some of them are outputs, which are inputs in an X for actuators and whatever things needs to happen. And then we have memory bits in Boolean and integer for things like timers and counters. Let's have a look at the HMI screen. This is the row layout for the HMI screen. As you can see here, there are two boxes, two main boxes, input box and status box. In the input box, we have order 1 and order 2, where we can pick the quantity of our colors for the objects to be um, put into the right orders. We also have some labels. So first of all, we have a button to start and stop the operation. There is a label here that will display if either one of those two is above 6, since we can only fit 6 objects into the slides. There are labels here to detect if either the cylinder 1 or cylinder 2 is retracted or extended, and we use that with the sensors we just showed on the back. And in the status box, we have basically the same thing applied onto what is happening in real time. So we can see how many black pieces have been collected in order 1 and 2 and so on for the other colors, and the total amount. Underneath it, we find the excess, which are the amount of objects that are supposed to go into the third slide, and also collection button. Collection buttons both set the counters to 0 and also activate the object sync to remove every object from each slide. We can see that instead of using normal looking LED circles, I decided to go for these panels applied onto the background of each order. So it will be green for the order 1, yellow for order 2, and red for the excess. On our next, before we run the simulation, we need to make sure that all signals are perfectly synchronized with the tags on TIA. To do this, we need to create an PLC instance connection on PLC sim. Here we go. Here as you can see that it's running at the moment. Once that's done, we can open the signal mapping. and do a general mapping. So we look for we update the connection and the tags, and we do an auto mapping to make sure that all signals are synchronized perfectly during the simulation. Once we have that, we then now can have a look at the code. Our block of code is called SES block. And it's pretty simple and straightforward for what the program has to do. So we can start from the beginning. At the beginning, we can see we have timers. One timer is for the stopper to extend. And while that timer is going off, the system will check the color. So if we won't detect anything, then the color of the object is black. If it's detecting by these only, then it's red. If it's detecting both of them, then it's silver. The second timer here is for the mains light sensor, which is the sensor that sits on the back here. From here, this timer will, if it's on for more than 2 seconds, it will know that then at least one of the slides is full, and it will show a label for the user to empty the slides and reset the counter. And that's exactly what this piece of code does. By continuing, we can see the piece of code for the clearing of the slides for each slide. So we use slide one sensor to clean each one. And also it will reset the count. Then we have a part of the code for the LEDs. This literally just say if the orders are complete, then turn on green LED for the first slide, yellow LED for the second slide, and the red one for the excess. The excess, it doesn't have a count, but it's simply, well, it does count up, but simply is one is equal or bigger than 6. There is also an error message for the order limits that we are going to see in the HMI screen. We have placed here labels for cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 if they're either open or retracted. And this is to sum up the order totals and the counts total with all the variables. Here we start with the case structure. The first step 0, literally checks if the HMI button is being pressed. If it is being pressed, then the object source will turn on and the stopper would retract. And we'll put cylinders in position and move to step 1. Otherwise, if it's not, then the object source should stay full, so the object won't come into the simulation, even if the simulation is running on an X. And then we'll do the same thing for position of stoppers and cylinders. Checking proximity sensor. So yeah, we go into step 1 from step 0, and the proximity sensor, if it does detect something, then it would activate the stopper and the timer for the stopper. And moving to step 2, the timer, if it's still on, it will detect the colors. And here is like a very simple and separate logic for detecting color and to assign the color to a memory bit. Detect the color, it's called here. So in this case will be 1 for black, 2 for red, and 3 for silver. Then once the timer is off, the stopper will retract and move on to step 3. Because now the code knows what color the object is. So this is the sorting bit of the code where it checks what color the object was and the count of the objects and the order that it needs to be placed in. And based on that, it will decide if it activates cylinder 1 or cylinder 2. Cylinder 1 will be prioritized. So the slide 1, order 1 will be prioritized to cylinder 2 and slide 2 and order 2. And then if it doesn't match, you just go into excess and increase the excess count. And so on for a red color and silver color. In step 4, we just use the proximity sensor to reset the cylinder's position and move on to the beginning. So that we reset the detect color variable and go to step 0 and restart the process. Okay, now we can have a look at the simulation. For that, we're going to download the code to the device and reset the machine. And we start the simulation from the HMI. We set the amount that we want to collect for each slide. So in this case, it will be a 6 each. But if I increase by 1, it would just say total number. See, the same goes for that or just that. So at the moment we have 5 and 6. Let's do this just to double check. We start the simulation on X and here. So the belt will start running. Detects the color, it will stop it and run it out. So at the moment we have 1 total here and 1 on the black in the status box. We can also see when the cylinders are extended or retracted on here. The total amount is being recorded here. Silver's going to second slide. You notice how every time an object is being detected by the proximity sensor, the cylinders will close. We can also see the sensors highlighting when the solution cylinders reach position, closed or open. This one is going to slide 2 because we decided to have 3 objects in slide 2, and at the moment we only had 2 silvers. So once the first is completed, green LED will turn on to say box is completed and ready for collection. Notice how there is no label for saying to pick up because the slide is not full right now. So this is just completed and ready to be collected. Once the second box will be completed, once the second slide will be completed, there will be a yellow light for collection. And once the excess box is completed, there will be a red LED around the excess box. Okay, I don't think my computer can handle video recording and simulation at the same time, so it just crashed. But let's try again, maybe by adding less objects. So that would extend. Once I collect, it will just empty the slide. and it can be changed in real time. And once we have a slide that is completely full, even if we empty this too. So right now we have no orders, and all the objects will go into the excess. And this is just to show the counting for the excess and the label. So as you can see now, it knows there are 6 objects in the slide. Right LED turn on, and once the main slide sensor is on for longer than 2 seconds, it will say one or more slides is full. So yeah, they should be collected. And once they go collected, now it's completely empty. Thanks for watching.